Oh, hey there. It's been a long time coming. I finally got my Washington Capitals Stanley Cup hat. A lot of my regular stores didn't have it for various reasons. I did make a video in part talking about why I think that there was a shortage of supply of these hats. For a trucker hat, it's actually quite well made, but it is a trucker hat, so you have to take that into consideration. I was waiting for it to go on a deal because $40 for a trucker hat is just too much, especially for a guy who hasn't worked in 15, 16 months. Uh, couldn't justify it. However, I couldn't simply only have the Pittsburgh 2017 Stanley Cup champion hat. Um, yeah. Uh, yeah, I got a bit of a break because this one was buy one, get one 50% off. And considering, I've been going around other places and seeing, prices like buy two, get one free instead of, buy one, get one free. You know, that to me sounded like a deal, and I knew if I didn't buy it right then and there, it was going to go back to regular price, and it probably would have stayed that way until, probably at least Black Friday or even Boxing Day, if ever. I mean, I couldn't be entirely certain. The company I got it from said that they were going to continue getting them, but that's what they were saying. I mean, I was talking essentially to the peons. They didn't know nothing. I mean, I would know. I was a produce peon for quite a while, where I had no idea what was going on, except what little was told. Anyway, I'm glad I did get this hat. Ooh, they had clever marketing though. Okay, so it was buy one get one free, right? Most of their hats are youth hats. So, and the thing is, I've learned this mistake is that a youth hat, it doesn't matter about the size of it, whether you could adjust it or not. None of that matters because it's shaped differently somehow, and it's not a comfortable fit, and it like a gust of wind could blow it right off. Um, and that's mostly the hats that were there. There was very limited selection on what hats I could actually acquire because, as you know, when it's buy one get one 50% off, it's of equal or lesser value. So you can't, get the 50% off on a lesser value hat. Well, buy the lesser value hat and then get the 50% off on the more expensive hat. In an ideal world, you could, but in this world, you can't. However, I will make point of saying that these hats are well made, and okay, so it cost me about $33. So it wasn't much of a deal. It was it was a price. That's what it was. I mean, I paid more for hats before, and a lot of times I paid less for them. And the thing is, like, okay, uh, let's throw a question out there. Could you and would you make a hat of this quality and sell it for $30? Not damn well likely. If it's not done on an industrial scale, it's not getting done for that price. It's not. Like the best you could do is make one of those sailboat hats out of paper, or a tinfoil hat or something like that, because I would have no idea how to make a hat. And like, there's a lot of really good embroidery here. Like the eagle is very good on it. Champs, good, all good. I had explained before that there is a defect in a lot of the Stanley Cups hats, and I believe that was Sidney Crosby's doing. Um, yeah, it seemed like the kind of thing he would do because he was, really angry and he never wanted Ovechkin to win the cup, and he would try to inconvenience him in any way he could. And obviously, as the Washington Capitals are the Stanley Cup champs of last season, sales of their hats and merchandise, they're going to benefit from. It was a good buy. The other hat I bought was a Detroit Red Wings hat. It is a little bit too big for my head. As thick a skull as I have, as a fat a head as I've got. It actually is a little bit too big, and this is including, my thick hair as well. Well, I guess I'll, there's probably a few TV shows that could make me really arrogant and, a big loudmouth cunt if I, watch them enough. So that would give me a big head, an ego. And, I thought that was important that Crosby, got that little shove going. It doesn't matter if you got people stroking you. You have to actually be the best to say that you are the best. And yeah, he won 3 Stanley Cups, but I mean, as I said before, the first time he won a Stanley Cup, he was not really a factor. He was there and he got some points, but if I recall correctly, but he wasn't the main factor, especially in the Game 7 against Detroit. It was Max Talbot that got the job done. And, his career has sort of faded off into obscurity. I'm sure he's retired now. He's retired now, but, he will not be remembered like Crosby will be. Not because he didn't work as hard, not because this and that, but, there's reasons behind closed doors that I don't discuss with us normies. And then, you got the up-and-newcomers, San Jose, first of all, and Nashville. And you went, wow, this is really entertaining. It'd be good for, traditionally not hockey communities to have the chance to win a Stanley Cup. And it's simply, I knew when I looked at it, I went, there's no way. I mean, this year, it was a little bit different. Vegas, they underperformed in it against Washington. There's no doubt about that. However, them going into it, they looked as though they could have been more successful. Although, of all the three, I would say Nashville had the best chance of winning the Stanley Cup. The 3 losing Stanley Cup finalists in the last 3 years, I would say Nashville was the closest to winning a Stanley Cup. And, Vegas was good. But I figured their season was a success story no matter what at that point anyway. They didn't have to win the Stanley Cup. It's simple-minded, there is only one treasure in all of the National Hockey League, and that's a Stanley Cup, because that's just not true. There's a bunch of awards, and there are other things that are important as well, and you can't strictly emphasize on the game itself on the ice. Like if I hear one more stupid hockey fan go, oh, the referees, blah, 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 I'm going to go, you're a fucking idiot. A total fucking idiot. Being a referee is not our job. They don't fuck up. And when they appear to fuck up, it's because they were told to do so. Okay, that's not true for referees, because, referees, they got a lot of things going on, a lot of things on their plate and things like that. But as far as, as like a beer league, for example, referees there, would not be a hard job without, the politics of the game and various other factors. It's not hard to have linesmen, referees monitor the game and accurately call any penalties, bad goals, or whatever they were supposed to do. That's not a hard job. but there are other things that are attached to that job as well. So, that's not fair to say that referee is an easy job, but it is one that a lot of people don't understand and they don't want to understand it. And the worst thing you can possibly do to waste your time is try to convince someone who doesn't want to listen, an alternate opinion. I mean, I can understand if your version of events is not as good as theirs, and you become the annoyance. But when people are so narrow-minded and they shut down, they go, "This is the way it is. It's always been this way." Yada yada yada, and that is perpetuating stupidity. And there's more to the game than that. I didn't even watch a single playoff game, other than a few highlights on the YouTube. I didn't watch a single regular season game because I'm a different type of hockey fan. It's not that I wouldn't be interested in watching hockey games. It's more kind of a thing you do if you have some beers, some pizza, and some friends over, kind of thing, in my opinion. Watching a game on my own, it's not something I couldn't do, but I have different interests in mind when I don't have company around. One thing, if you have been following my channel, that you will know is that my pet peeve with hats is this sticker on it. I cannot stand it. I don't know why people keep it on. I've heard the dumbest explanations for why they keep it on. They say, "Oh, the color it fades, where the sticker used to be." I suppose it would be if it were in the window in the baking sun. But these hats, you can rip this sticker off and it's not going to be an issue. I would know because I can't tolerate stickers. Oddly enough, this is a Fanatics. It's not an Adidas. So, did they make an Adidas Washington Capitals hat? I mean, this one's solidly made. And although I've never tried it, the button on the top, that can be removed somehow. A fellow at my work did that because he was doing East Indian tradition where or whoever does that tradition where they're usually holding a big pot of something on top of their head, and it's something about balance, but really that's not good for your neck. But anyway, yeah, so with all caps you can remove the top. I don't know how to do it, and I'm not too interested in exploring how to do it because this is my hat. I like my hat the way it is. And so the ceremonial ripping off of the stupid sticker on it, and all stickers on hats are stupid, so I am ripping it off. That is what I'm doing right this second, for all to see that it's like a band-aid, really. You could go at it slowly, but it's better to just go like that. See? Now the hat looks a whole heck of a lot better, doesn't it? I think I'm going to hang on to that sticker, though. I think I'll put it on my fridge. So yeah, got my hat. And I got it on somewhat of a deal because I knew when I looked at it on the sale price that I would not be able to get that price again for some time, and then there may be supply issues because as I mentioned, a lot of these hats were actually destroyed because they were made faulty, because the logo kept falling off or something like that. And it's like, if I could have got a discount on it, I would have bought one of those hats. Kind of, it's a bit Frankensteining it, but it still would have been worth doing. However, they said they destroyed them. Whether they did or they didn't, who knows? So that was a factor. Anyway, yeah. So this is what this video is about: is talking about the Washington Capitals Stanley Cup hat that I had been wanting to get for some time now, at least for a few months, of course. It wasn't entirely the price I wanted to pay for it. Because I get deals elsewhere, and this, it's like, it was a deal for anybody, but, I think as a loyal customer, I should get, deals elsewhere. I mean, it's should be fair. Um, but yeah, as far as marketing at this particular place, they only had a limited selection of hats that would have been of any use to me. Because as I said, youth hats, they're no good for me. Um, all the other hats they had, I either didn't really want them because they were for teams that, I didn't particularly care for, or, whatever, or I didn't like the design, or a lot of the designs were too similar to hats that I already have. Because, I mean, I really wanted the Washington Capitals hat, but I didn't want that and pay full price for it instead of the buy one get one free. So they actually had a Philadelphia hat, which wasn't too bad. It wasn't complicated. It was a sheer black Philadelphia logo. That was it, and it was $20. So I went, well, it doesn't actually matter if it's it's one of the cheaper hats because it didn't have all the embroidery on it other than the logo. It'll still work out cheaper to buy it that way because, it was still a decent hat. However, that one was marked as clearance, and they used a technicality to say, oh, well, you can't use this as an example. So basically what they were saying is like, look, if you want this buy one, get one free, you're spending $60 and plus tax. And it was like, well played. Anyway, so yeah, I really had to think really hard about if I wanted it or not. So I did. So hopefully somebody who was not cognizant of the fact that I'm a Washington Capitals fan and they're a hardcore Pittsburgh Penguins fan didn't go, I'll show him. I don't think that happened, but there are Pittsburgh Penguins fans, and they are so intolerable. They're fans of all hockey teams that are intolerable to deal with. And then you start to go, is it really because they're a fan of a certain team that they're intolerable? Or is it the fact that they're intolerable as people, as their personality? What if it doesn't have anything to do with hockey? What if they're just irritating people anyway? That's a distinct possibility. More so, I would think. Yeah, there's really not much more to the story that I know about on elaborating on this hat. However, I am very glad to have picked it up, and deal wasn't as good as I'd like to have been, as I said, but a deal is better than no deal. Or the possibility that the deal is going to get worse over time rather than better. So yeah, that's essentially what's going on right now. I was able to pick up a few pins, simple pins. They're modern day ones, like they're not vintage or anything like that, hockey pins or anything like that, but they were well made. And again, it's like, okay, they're asking the going rate for them, but if you can make that pin or hat and sell it for that price and still make money, by all means, please go for it. But I don't know how you're going to do that unless, I don't know. I guess somebody's really drunk and you show them like the cheesiest knockoff that you could find, and then you walk away with a cheesy knockoff, and then the extremely intoxicated person, when they sober up, goes, "Yeah, man, like I saw a hat, and then the geezer who had it, he was gonna sell it to me, and then he disappeared or something like that." Like, other than that, it's going to be a paper cup hat. That's all it's going to be. And that was, a crude joke, I suppose. I am rather tired. It's 1:37, and I actually had a bit of a rough day. Physically, anyway. Yeah, a really sore throat. Although it doesn't sound like it in the tone of my voice. I'm able to move my neck around too. So, it's offhand. A lot of people go, "Oh, well, he's faking it." I am not. And you know who is not faking, crying like a little bitch right now? Sidney Crosby. He really is crying like a little bitch because he didn't want Ovechkin to ever win, and it was like a big deal for him. It was a big ego, get the fuck out of the way kind of thing. And I'm not gonna say Crosby entirely deserved it, but sitting in the peanut gallery, from perspective like I've got offhand, I would say yeah, he had it coming that Ovechkin would defeat the Pittsburgh Penguins along with the Washington Capitals, and then they defeated the Golden Knights, with Marc-Andre Fleury being one of the more notable players on their team, as far as the media, the sports media was presenting the team. Every time the team was mentioned and any specific players were mentioned, Marc-Andre Fleury's name was mentioned. And the thing is, like Marc-Andre Fleury, the reason he got booted out of Pittsburgh, A, is because he makes a lot of money, too much money, and B, he was slipping. He wasn't as good as he used to be, and he clearly wasn't in game 5 against the Washington Capitals, or any of the games in particular. Um, and Matt Murray, he had real promising looking career, but he wasn't that fantastic this year. I mean, the best goalie tangent they had in recent years was obviously when Vaucoon was the backup and Marc-Andre Fleury was there as well. Thomas Vaucoon at that point was at the tail end of his career, but he was playing well, and Marc-Andre Fleury, he blundered a few times, but he was doing not bad considering, and the Penguins were successful because of it. Um, yeah. So anyway, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. So I will probably upload this video in the morning, actually. Or you know what? I could actually probably start uploading it, and if I happen to be awake in 20 minutes, which I highly doubt because I'm so sleepy, if I lay down on my bed, I'm going to fall asleep. That's probably what's going to happen. Um, then I'll publish it because it's, it's a hockey video. I've been meaning to make one for a little while. I have some other ideas to talk about too, but that will have to be reserved for another day. If you're a fan, if you're a creeper, if you're a stalker, or someone screwed up in the head, or you're a kindly person, or whatever, good night, and more than likely, probably fuck you. So anyway, have a good one.